Hey guys, it's Rodney, and welcome back for another garden tour. And it's the first Saturday of May, so we are celebrating World Naked Gardening Day.
And once again, even Jake's naked.
I'm not naked, I'm wearing a shirt, see? Come on.
World Naked Gardening Day is celebrated on the first Saturday of every May. But we do want to make sure that you are being safe and smart as you celebrate. So make sure that it is safe in your area, it is okay in your area, and make sure that you've got a little bit of privacy if that's what's needed. In our space, as you guys have seen, we've got a lot of privacy around. We back up to a creek, we've got an empty lot. So why not get out there, love yourself, we love you, and let's go celebrate gardening naked. Let's go. This spring, we haven't gotten as much rain as we did last spring, but this year, we are ready, thankfully, because of our sponsor of this video, CowCal. They've sent us over their awesome waterproof ankle boot that keeps my feet nice and dry in the yard while I'm gardening, no matter the weather. Wearing them in the garden, they've been super comfortable, really easy to slide on and off, which is really nice when your hands are all muddy from gardening out in the yard. But biggest perk for me is that they actually have tread. They are the first waterproof ankle boot that I have worn that actually has tread on the bottom of the foot. Check it out. So not only are they waterproof, they're actually giving me grip in the mud. Most of the ankle boots I've ever worn have always been smooth soles for some reason. But these guys have been really comfortable, easy to wear. Honestly, I kind of even forgot I've been wearing shoes. Over the years, this little bed here has kind of transformed, but this year in the garden, we are learning to coexist with chickens. So any caladiums and coleus that we did try again in this bed this year, the chickens have helped us garden and helped us do some weeding. So this bed's gotten a little bit of a transformation this year. This is actually where we placed our large anthurium. It's a little bit more protected from our spring hailstorms that we get. So we've tried it in this location, and so far she's actually really loving it. And it's getting a little bit less direct sunlight too, so I think it's thriving a little more. But that has started to shade out our little clippies and terracotta pots here. So we're gonna have to get a little creative here. This year we might be doing all of our annual color only in pots. In the outdoor shower, the crossvine is of course still thriving. It's still really, working its way across from our new extension of the pergola top here. It has already bloomed like we talked about last month, but it's starting to set on some new buds again. So we are probably gonna get our second bloom cycle here pretty soon. But to my surprise, the wall is actually filling out a little bit. Last month we talked about being a little too worried that it was too much shade, but so far it's actually filling out pretty well. So I'm excited to see what happens.
I'm good.
All right. Well, that's nice. In our side bed this year, this is kind of like our little tropical bed, I guess, is what we've come to realize. But our elephant ears are finally starting to pop up. Our holly fern's doing really well. Of course, our root beer plants are taking off. And our anacacho orchid that we've talked about in a lot of our tours is actually doing okay. I've had to do a lot of cutback. She did have quite a bit of dieback, but I think that was from some of the struggle in the front yard. She's getting a lot more morning sun here, so I think she's going to do a lot better in this space. We've also had to get really creative with our more tender babies, so our giant elephant ear started to put on a set of leaves, and our chickens helped us weed out the garden. So she's finally got some new ones. This is going to be the gigantic that gets about 3 foot in size, but we'll have to wait till late summer to see some more from that guy. And then we've also got our sedge filling in and our purple oxalis, which is looking really sharp in these beds here. The purple elephant ears, I always forget the name of those, but those have already started to sprout here. And then we've got another set over here this year that's coming out really well. So pretty excited to see what this little tropical corner does. And we still have the original chicken coop on this side yard here too, so we're kind of working around that, and the outdoor gym, which actually, let's go look at the birdhouse. I have birds living in there, and it's not my chickens. I don't think it's a toucan, which I was really hoping for. We don't have toucans in this area, but I'm convinced I'm going to attract one, and it's not the chickens. So, it could be a squirrel, some other birds, but I'm just happy someone's using it. Leaf litter has been a problem, of course, with having the trees and the outdoor gym, but having the chickens, they, of course, help us garden with that as well. And we try to get out here and use the gym as much as we can. The Flamacanthus is actually doing really well this year. I did a little bit of trimming in the early spring because of one of the cold snaps we had, but she's doing really, really well. I'm really hoping that we get a really good bloom set out of it. We got one kind of late last year, but it looks really healthy. So we've got some buds started at the very tips here, but it's going to be a summer bloomer, so I'm excited to see where that brings us. And then our evergreens that we had to heave and hoe out of those white pots a couple of years ago now, or last year, 6 years ago, I don't really remember. But they're holding in there. They're doing okay. They're kind of just a background here, but we'll see where they bring us. The banana is doing really well this year. It did die all the way back, so I'm hoping we can figure out a way to keep a trunk on it, but I don't know if that's going to really be possible in our area, so I'm just kind of letting that do its thing. It gets a lot of good dappled light on this side. The Mediterranean fan palm is doing well. Again, still kind of running into the issue where we get a new leaf started, and then we see some dieback, so fingers crossed these last few have been kind of holding in there. And then our cypress there has really leafed out already. It's such a beautiful tree. It's honestly one of my favorites. They're just so pretty. Our peach tree, thriving now that she's getting more sun. Tons of peaches on the branches. We did have to get a little creative with some support because we had the tree die behind the fence line there. We're now getting so much more sun. I'm hoping she will start to auto-correct, but you might need to help her a little more. And now that it's been consistently warm too, the Henry Duelberg is in full bloom. The bees and butterflies have been swarming it like crazy, and our lantanas are really popping through, mostly all fully budded. So fingers crossed we'll have a lot more butterflies here soon. And my native milkweed, she's trying her hardest. She's trying so hard, but she's doing okay. I think I need a transplanter, but she's doing okay for now. Our Pride of Barbados, she's doing really well. A lot of new growth in there. Already probably almost 2 foot of growth on that one stem since last month. So really excited. It was just little starts. So excited that one's doing really well. Of course, our paddle cactus, loving life. And if you guys remember from last year's World Naked Garden Tour, we were trying a little hedge thing with the cactus, but we have kind of since edited that a little bit because, as you can see, this entire space has changed since last year. So we have kind of abandoned the idea of creating that hedgerow because, again, the goal was like the grass to the bamboo. We didn't really like that. It wasn't a good vibe. So we were trying the paddle cactus. We've left the couple that we did start, but we just expanded the whole garden bed instead and just removed more lawn because that honestly makes a lot more sense. And then the drift rows that we had moved from the outdoor shower area to get a little more sun basically, but also have drier feet. We did get a friend for it. They've started to bloom already. So super stoked about that. We also added in the Texas sage here, and this is kind of where the bed expanded to. So before we were looking at just the bamboo in the lawn, but now we've got this entire garden bed now. And then the newest addition that we also talked about last month was our Blackberry trellis here. The blackberries are doing really well so far. So for the most part, this is going to be kind of a little blackberry corner to this garden bed. It gets just the right amount of sun. We're getting about 4 to 5 hours of sun here, so it won't get too crispy on us, fingers crossed, come summertime, but that's been doing really well. And then our chaparral sage here that was gifted to a friend that we were looking at is also about to start blooming, which has got such a beautiful bloom on it. And then one of our newest changes is, of course, our fall landscape project. We put in this slat wall, but we recently just added in the arbor here. So now we've got a little walk-through arbor. We're thinking we've got a star jasmine on one side, but we need some ideas for this side. So if anybody's got any ideas, let us know. But we were thinking about something like the climbing rose or like an iceberg, Lady Banks rose maybe. But also looking at a jessamine, but they're super toxic to chickens. So we're still looking to figure out what to do there. And of course, we always check in on the bougainvillea, and already she's blooming like crazy. Last year we got a lot more rain. This year we haven't gotten as much. So I think just the heat stress has already kicked it in bloom this year. But she looks great up against the dark slats. One of the biggest changes that we talked about before was how we moved our outdoor dining to the deck so that we could build our outdoor kitchen space. And then we moved our outdoor table off the deck and out into our patio expansion here, which then allowed us to move our pool over and then add in a new arbor. And of course, all the awesome breeze blocks in the background. And my baby is so successful this year. The Detrophos looks really great, really thriving. I think just because it got warmer earlier, it's just going crazy. So all of the blooms all coming out. I think last month we had 1 or 2 blooms, but we've had, I mean, it's just been continuous so far this year. So I'm really excited that she's kind of really taken root again after that boo-boo she got with the cold a couple years ago. But Detrophos looking great. And then, of course, our food garden, which we covered in our April garden tour. So if you haven't seen that one, go check that one out for sure. But everything's doing pretty well. Again, the heat is setting in regularly, so we're just trying to keep up with watering and maintenance. Some of it's been an experiment, but it's been really nice to have right up against the new chicken coop. And then last fall, as part of that landscape project, we had also transplanted some Turks Cap from the front yard to the backyard here. They're doing really well. The third one closest to the coop gets a little trampled because the chickens get a little excited when they come out to free range. But for the most part, they're doing really well, so I'm pretty stoked to see those. I'm hoping by end of summer we'll see, 3 to 4 foot of height out of these guys. And somebody did ask, I think in last month or the month before, about kind of the wild space that we had. Because we further defined the lawn, we do still kind of have this little wild corner. It did get a little bit smaller. And then they were also asking about our I-beam patch. And it's doing pretty well. It's staying healthy. Looks good. And as part of that fall landscape project, we also transplanted some of the Mexican honeysuckle from the front yard into the back here. And so far, it's actually taken really well and doing really well. So fingers crossed, this guy will actually fill in really nicely. It'll be about 3 to 4 foot tall, so we'll see the orange blooms through all of the Clay Imports breeze blocks. And then, of course, recently added our Arctic Frost orange tree, the nasturtiums, and, of course, the peppermint. And in the front courtyard, we haven't done all that much this year, but so far our cast irons and of course the root beer plants are all doing really well. The fig ivy is making a comeback from that little bit of freeze that we did get, and our purple oxalis are thriving and looking beautiful. Normally we would add some impatiens or something like that in here, but we really haven't done a whole lot of annual color this year. Again, learning how to garden with the chickens is a little rough. But for the most part, everything that was here is doing really well. And the staghorn always takes a little bit of a beating from going from inside to outside, but she's doing really well. A whole bunch of new growth still really well holding in there. And then the rest of our tropicals that we keep in this courtyard space, because of the beautiful oak, we get all this great filtered light. Our ficus Ali is doing well. She's finally putting on a bunch of new growth now that we've got some consistent warm evenings. And then, of course, our fiddle leaf fig. We didn't end up doing too harsh of a cut on it this year, so by the end of the season, I'm sure it'll be 25 foot tall. And then, of course, our peace lily, or the spath, this is doing really well. This is some leftover damage from going inside and out, but also the late hailstorm that we had last year. I really need to get in there and clean it up, especially now that we've got new growth, but I always try to take it slow with the tropicals and not do too much all at the same time. All right, guys, so that's it for this month's special World Naked Gardening Day garden tour. If you guys like what you see, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that little bell icon to be notified the next time that we post another video. And as always, guys, we want to give a huge shout out to all of our members. If you're not already a member and you're interested in joining to help support our channel, check the link in the description below. But for now, get naked, get gardening, and go enjoy World Naked Gardening Day. We'll see you guys next time.